Hello, this is how to run Android applications on a Linux desktop, also on mobile phones that are running the Linux desktop. This is how it looks like in multi-window mode. Let's see the wiki page. So it uses a container with Linux containerization technologies. It's running a custom version of Android 11. There's two images that you can choose from. Let's start installing. So this is the home page, waydroid.id. Install. We're going to use an AMD 64 CPU, so we're going to run AMD 64 Android applications. Let's see where the instructions are. Installation docs. And then, depending on your Linux operating system, there will be different installation steps. There are some operating systems where Waydroid is available out of the box in the official binary package repositories, such as in Fedora. We're using Ubuntu 2504. Let's go to the instructions for Ubuntu and Debian, so the Debian family of Linux operating systems. We're using the Wayland session. We're using KDE Plasma 6. So probably the installation instructions start here. Let's get a terminal. First of all, apt install curl CA certificates. Probably both packages are already installed. And then there's a official repository from Waydroid for my Linux operating system, which is Ubuntu 25.4, so Plucky. Add the official repository. Okay, so it downloads from the internet and then it runs bash with root privileges. Okay, so it has added another repository of deb packages. Let's actually find it. It's in sources.list.d, waydroid.list, and says deb, so without sources, and then the URL, and then the version, and then the one of the repositories there. There's probably just one main. Okay. And then it says that we can install Waydroid. Let's see exactly what will be installed. So it's installing LXC, which is a Linux containerization solution, one of the many. The others being Docker and Podman. LXC is being set up. The special LXC container for Waydroid is being initialized. Okay, let's see what other packages were installed. The LXC file system, Google Binder, libraries and Python bindings. Okay, I don't see any out of 3 Linux kernel modules in here. So maybe all of the many Linux kernel modules that were needed previously in order to run an Android image, such as binder and the out of memory killer and the logger and all of the other things, maybe are just not required anymore on Kubuntu 25.04. Okay. And next up, we'll need to initialize Wayland. In here it says that I should run Waydroid init. I'm not sure if that's the case. It also says that I should start Waydroid from the start menu. Let's search for it. It's in here. I know, let's continue reading the instructions. So that was installing Waydroid, and now we need to install and run Android applications. If we have the APK, doesn't say much. Let's try Waydroid init first. Needs a root access. Okay. What if we run Waydroid from the start menu? In here we have the option of selecting between Android without Google Apps or with Google Apps. Let's go with Google Apps. And go. It's downloading a Lineage OS image, 900 megabyte in size. Lineage 18.1.2025.06. Special for Waydroid. Okay. It has also downloaded a second image. The first one is system lineage. The second one is vendor. Done. Okay. And now Waydroid's graphical user interface application starts, and this is running full screen. It's exactly what you would expect. Next up, we can either exit full screen and set a resolution for the Waydroid application, or we could run the Waydroid application in multi-window mode. Let's see how that is being done. I could not find any way of making the Waydroid graphical user interface application use just the left half of my screen, for instance, such that I can have my web browser on the right half of the screen. And probably the way to do it is to just run Waydroid inside another Wayland compositor, such as the reference implementation of the Wayland protocol, which is Weston. So you probably can have a Weston window inside this Wayland session, which is KD Plasma 6 Wayland session. Resize the Weston window as you want, and then inside you could start Waydroid. But let's use Waydroid as it is right now. So it's semi full screen. It's full screen in the sense that you cannot resize the Waydroid window, takes almost the entire screen, but then it leaves visible the KDE Plasma 6 main panel, which is the one with the start menu, the icons only, task manager, and the system tray. One of the directions that we could go towards is to install the App Store F-Droid. Let's do that. So f-droid.org. We can install from the host operating system, so from Linux. And the instructions look like this: Waydroid app install, and then the full path to the APK. So let's do that. Paste, and then tilde downloads and F-Droid. Unfortunately, the casing of the APK file is interesting. So instead of being all lowercase f-droid.apk, it starts with an uppercase F, and then that messes up the auto-completion. So Waydroid app install full path to the APK, press enter, and let's see what happens. How do we start F-Droid? Okay, so in my Linux start menu from KDE Plasma, the application launcher, there's a new category of applications now, Waydroid, which uses the wrong icon, should be monochrome, but it's colorful. And in here we have the Android applications that are available inside Waydroid. And we want the F-Droid application. Let's see how we can launch the application from Waydroid. This is the start menu. This is probably the back button. This is probably the cancel button, close. Okay, so back to the home and swipe from down. We can see all of the applications and search. Let's start F-Droid. We need a repository. Add additional sources of apps. F-Droid is enabled by default. Great. Let's get a web browser or something installed via F-Droid. How do we go back? No categories to display. No matching applications. And now, after a time of waiting, we can see the results. This is probably because after you install F-Droid, it automatically configures its own repository, but then it will need to fetch the metadata, so the list of applications that are available in F-Droid. Let's see how searching works. Let's see if we can install the DuckDuckGo privacy browser. Doesn't say anything about CPU architecture. Let's see if the application appears in the list of installed applications. Not yet. For security, your phone is not allowed to install unknown apps from this source. Settings. Allow from the source F-Droid. Okay. Install unknown apps. Do you want to install this application? Yes. Do you want to install the update? Install. I'm not sure why it's exercising Google Play. Okay, so that was a ton of accepting on dialog boxes without getting too far. Yeah, I thought you could just not set up the Google apps and install F-Droid and use the applications that are available there. But then because we have installed the GApps version of the image, maybe we always need to enable Google Apps on this image. Let's see the procedure. We go back to the documentation for Waydroid, docs.waydro.id, and this says Google Play certification. And we'll need to use this loophole for the website google.com/android/uncertified. So let's run the commands. Says as the user root, you should run Waydroid shell. And then copy this long command line. It returns a long string, which we'll need to copy. And then we'll need to go to this URL as and authenticate using a Google account. And then after you do the change by pasting the string in there, after a number of minutes, if we restart Waydroid, the device will be recognized by the Google Apps framework. So let's do that. So I did just that. The integer part, so this one starting with 386, ending with 255, you copy it, you paste it in this edit box, say you're not a robot, and then registered. At the bottom, after you get the message that registration was successful, you will have the Android IDs for all of the devices that you have registered. So I have registered this last year and the newer one today. It still complains that it's not registered. And then at some point, the Google applications, especially Google Play Store, will just start to work. Protections activated. Choose your browser. Top. Next. So it's still complaining. It's going to take some minutes until registration is successful on the device. And the device is connected to the internet. Let's try to start the App Store. So Google Play Store. It's still complaining. We'll give it 10 more minutes to have the registration be performed automatically. But then the instructions do say that we should restart. Give the Google services some minutes to reflect the change, then restart Waydroid. So maybe it's the other way around. Wait a couple of minutes, restart, and then maybe you should wait some more. Let's see how we restart Waydroid. Waydroid container start. Waydroid session start. Waydroid show full UI. Waydroid session stop. Let's just run this command. Hopefully everything just works. But not test the user root. So exit Waydroid shell, Control D. Paste. Some commands need to be run with sudo in front, the sudo Waydroid container. Others need to be run as your regular Linux user. Waydroid session start and stop. Waydroid show full UI and launching and installing applications. Waydroid app list, Waydroid app install, and Waydroid app launch. Let's see where Waydroid is. Okay, so probably in my start menu, the category Waydroid is populated on demand when the Waydroid application is running, and then the Waydroid application is under which category? Utilities. Okay, so it's still complaining that the registration didn't happen yet. And now it's all of a sudden happened. So I'm not sure exactly, was it that I have waited enough? I waited less than 5 minutes, or it was just because I waited a bit and then restarted the Waydroid session. I have logged into the Play Store. Let's install some applications. Let's see if there's Firefox enabled, available. Hopefully for applications that are ARM64 only and don't have an AMD64 version, the App Store graphical user interface applications will warn us that the application is not compatible with our device. What are you asking here? No. No. Okay. So we have Firefox running, the Play Store running, DuckDuckGo web browser running, F-Droid. We managed to install an application from the F-Droid App Store. And that's kind of enough. Everything seems to work correctly. There were 0 crashes. Everything is fast. UI is very responsive. It does what you would want, which is to emulate a finger using the mouse cursor. So if I click, it's similar to if I touch the screen with my finger. There's a start menu, a list of installed applications. This is the home screen. A list of running applications, a back button. The screen resolution is really great. I'm not sure if the device considers itself to be a mobile phone or a Android tablet. The usual mobile phone applications that you would expect. A calculator. Well, not the usual ones. If you have always used Android devices only from Samsung, then the calculator application will be the Samsung one, not the AOSP one, the Android open source project one. Battery charging slowly. Okay, so very impressed with the state of Waydroid. It says that it's still using Android 11, but I didn't encounter any applications that said that will not run on such an old version of Android. Other than that, the application Waydroid works correctly, the Android applications inside work correctly, the Android operating system works correctly, everything is snappy, probably GPU accelerated. I'm using a integrated GPU inside a AMD Ryzen CPU. There's network access working correctly, web browsers work correctly. I have tested 3 web browsers, the default one from Android, and then Firefox and DuckDuckGo. I have 2 application stores available, the Google Play Store and F-Droid. Not impressed by the number of applications that exist inside F-Droid, in the sense that there's all sorts of non-open source software, all sorts of applications that try to trick you, like free browser, floss browser, etc. All sorts of applications that I have never heard of, don't sound like open source software, those do not sound like free software. But then the fact that you cannot find free software being published inside F-Droid, the most important free software application, such as I couldn't find Firefox in here. I'm not exactly sure why that would be. Why would you publish Firefox if you're an open source project inside Google Play Store and not also make it available through F-Droid? Because there might be open source users that will just not install the Google Play Store and the Google apps. But then at least in this case, where the Waydroid image is using Google Apps, F-Droid took a ton of retries to install software. DuckDuckGo was, while installing, the operating system was trying to use the Play Store validations to make sure that you're not installing a really bad application from F-Droid. So this is it. Waydroid works correctly on Ubuntu 25.04, at least for me and at least until this moment. Thank you.